Welcome to You Know My Voice Series 2, the podcast that talks to the biggest voices in electronic music. I am Kelli-Leigh, your host. And kicking things off this series, I have an absolute huge artist in the room, a DJ, a producer, a broadcaster, a national treasure, and you actually definitely know their voice. Joining me today on the sofa is Majestic.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for coming in.
Very happy to be here.
Thank you. Let's just quickly talk about this because people are going to be like, Majestic. I mean, this is a You Know My Voice podcast. It's about the singers. It's about the vocals. But actually, people know your voice in so many different ways.
Absolutely. Even down to the Sunday brunch theme tune.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love this. This is going to be lots of secrets, this.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, it was very exciting because when the series, we released series 1 last year, you slid hard into my DMs and you were like, I've got things to talk about. You need to have me on series 2.
Absolutely.
And as promised, you are my first guest of series 2.
Well, you know, those that don't know me and you, we go back a while and we have great conversations when me and you come together. And it's good. And I think conversation is good. Debate is good. Debate is healthy. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what it's all about. That's why I really enjoyed your first series, having everyone on.
Oh, thank you.
I think definitely with my perspective on different things as a DJ producer, like you said, wearing the various hats, I've got different perspectives on things as well, which we'll be interested to talk about throughout the podcast.
Well, absolutely. So a lot of people will not know, and the reason why you've also come on is that Majestic is actually an MC. A lot of people will know you're an MC, but you've actually done vocals on massive records for artists like Skrillex, KSI.
Yeah, it's, there's been, I did a sample pack many moons ago when I was younger, and it's been used by even like Diplo, Denon Francis, like loads of people.
It's amazing.
The amount of times I hear something, there's me. There I am again.
Okay, well, so I want to ask you about that, but let me just quickly rewind because your bio is really interesting because you are just musical through and through and through.
Yeah.
And reading your bio, you got your first set of decks age 12 because your dad picks them up. Was you just like hammering him for them or?
Yeah, that was Christmas 99. So the Christmas present I asked for was turntables, and I got them from the Loot, which is an old school version of eBay. It was a paper, and you see what things were in there. We drove all the way from North London to Fulham. Remember, it was a Sunday night. Got my decks, got home, and that was the start of that. I'd already been starting playing piano. My granddad played in a big sort of jazz band.
Oh,
he was clarinet and saxophone. So I think it comes from him in terms of sitting there listening to him playing instruments. So yeah, my household was full of music. Mum loves dance music and like, you know, soul and R&B, and my dad loved reggae and rock. So I got a very wide and broad sort of upbringing of music.
What was your first tune you played on your decks when you got home that night?
The first tune I played was The Dream Team, Buddy X99 with Nina Cherry.
Oh my God, I love that. What was it? Did you have a CD?
No, it was the vinyl. So that was my first ever vinyl.
Oh, it was a vinyl.
Yeah, so I was buying vinyls. And like doing a paper round for £13.50 a week to buy 2 vinyls.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It was in your blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
And the thing with that time, you know, especially being into sort of UK garage, house and garage music at the time, like it was such a passion. And I was just talking about this the other day with someone, like that's why all the music meant so much, because like we had to work to go and get the music. It had so much value. Yeah. Like even the trekking to Walthamstow because that record shop had a record that your record shop didn't have. Yeah. It was amazing. Like I really do think that people, especially the generation of kids, the way they consume music now, they're missing out on that. And it's why those records that I was buying then still mean something to so many people now. When you go to a club or a rave and you do an old school night, it means so much to people because it's attached to so many memories. It
is, and I feel like some of those records hold so much feeling.
Absolutely.
You know, whereas there is a lot of stuff today, it's just so easily churned out.
Yeah, because I can tell you the first time I heard certain records where I was, do you know what I mean? When I was, the music is the closest thing to a time capsule.
Yeah,
and like going back in time when you hear it, you're like,
So what made you do? So let's fast forward to this sample pack then, because Skrillex, that was a massive record that you were on.
Yes.
That hit the charts as well over here.
Yeah.
It was like critically acclaimed as one of his massive records. So what happened with this sample pack? Who approached you? How did this come about?
So at the time, I think I was emceeing for the Wide Boys.
Oh, yeah.
And a friend of theirs was making a sample pack and said, "Oh, Madge, do you want to do a sample pack? I was like, what do you have to do? It's just like, just do various random lyrics, shouts, whatever. And we can sell it. I was like, all right, cool. He goes, and like, I can give you this, like I say, £1,000 up front or whatever, or $2,000, I can't remember what it was. I was like, yeah, these times there I was broke, like trying to just get by, running my studio and doing things. I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I did 3 vocal packs. One was called Radio DJ, where like people could use it for jingles. So it's like, you're listening to DJ, whoever. Yeah. Then the other one was called Cockney Joe, because this is when dubstep was really big.
Right.
And like Roscoe and Casper were the kings of like sampling old Snatch films and stuff. So I don't know if you remember the Roscoe's record, or was it Casper and Roscoe, the Cockney Thug, which had Bricktop from Snatch under it. And he's like, you know, when I see you, son, you know, like, it's all that kind of Cockney stuff. Yeah. And people used to just have like swear words and drops of dubstep tunes, like he's as hard as nails or whatever. So I did one all Cockney stuff, like get in the back of the van, like random stuff. And then I did one called Emperor Magic, because I've got quite a deep voice. And I do love Jamaican music. I can, you know, do a little bit of sort of like ragga sounding stuff. Nice. I thought no one's going to notice me, so I can go into it. So I called it Emperor Magic. Nice. And that's where a lot of the Skrillex stuff comes from, like Rude Boy Bias, like all this kind of stuff. So people sampled the hell out of it. And then there was another one which just said like, you know, MC, whatever, and I just done random lyrics. And I remember being, working in Kavos as an MC in a bar, and the DJ played Skrillex's remix of Benny Benassi Cinema. Right. And it went, drop the bass. And I was like, that's me. That's me. What? I'm like, and then there's a little break before it that goes, get up, get down, rinse that sound, but it's pitched up. Yeah. My DJ gonna break it down. I'm like, that's my lyric. Oh, that's me. Like, and I was like, oh, okay. Wow. And then I was like, what's going on here? And then Skrillex became Skrillex. Huge. Yeah. And I met Sonny at Fabric, and he was backstage at a DJ EZ show. I went up to him, I went, yo, I said, are you ready for the Roughneck Bass? He was like, no way, man. Oh my God, I thought you were black. I was like, yeah, a lot of people say that. He's like, oh my God, this is, he's like, nearly fainted. I was like, yeah, we got to do something, man. So, yeah, so that was the sort of the first time of seeing all the samples just going. Did you do something? Everywhere. No, we never did. Oh, no. Never did. And then he like asked me one time, I remember him FaceTiming me, and he wanted me to basically do him almost like a sample pack just for him. Right. Like, and it just sort of, so he's got things at hand that he can just use, but no one else has. Yeah. Because that's the thing with samples, especially now with Splice. Yes. Everyone's going to get their hands on it. Yeah. So yeah, but Skrillex has always had a love for that sort of, you know, deep English voice or street sounds, or, you know, that's why obviously Flowdown, big up Flow, has worked with him. He loved it. He's always loved it since using those sample packs. So yeah, it's mad to see how far and wide it went, even to the point of, like I said, you know, there's a record by Mosca called Backs. There's a little clip goes, my DJ is live in the place. And I heard that's me as well. So now, even now, but the thing is, anyone who hears anything that's got like a relatively deep English voice, they're like, is that you, Madge? I'm like, no, that was not me. I can tell which one's me. But yeah, sample pack went here, there, everywhere. How did that make you feel then? Were you like, what does this mean? Because obviously with the sample pack, you did it, you got paid your fee, and then it went out there, and then suddenly it was on all these things. Yeah, it was cool, like, to hear your voice on things. Of course, like, you're thinking in your mind, it'd be nice for people to know it was me. Like, but I don't know. I just think, like, you know, off the back of me doing Skrillex's stuff, when I met Layback Luke in BCM in Mallorca, Gordon from BCM, big him up, was like, oh, Luke, this is Majestic. He does stuff with Skrillex. And he's like, oh, wow. Like, he goes, yeah, that's me on that. He's like, oh, wow, we should do something, you know? So I think, like, that attachment and, you know, being on those records made people go, oh, that's cool. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it creates its own opportunity. It absolutely does. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then off the back of doing the record with Layback Luke, I ended up performing on the main stage of Ultra. Wow. Yeah, which was incredible. 2013, you know, 60,000 people in downtown Miami. Got looked after like a king. Nice. Right? An experience I'll never forget. So I just think like there was always, you know, although at the start, you know, my voice is everywhere. And Like, I'm not necessarily getting credit for those things. I think universally something would always come back round.
Yeah.
I believe in universal karma.
Yes, I do as well. So how comes you because obviously you are a DJ and producer as well, and obviously with all that stuff happening, you could have leaned into being an MC more, but you've chosen more to be a DJ and producer, obviously doing those things.
Yeah, so it's funny because again, even as an MC, like you're not necessarily credited as much as say like the DJ, right? So me and Ed Wide Boys would go out and smash some of the pieces and everyone goes, wow, the Wide Boys smashed it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, I was there too. Like, I did my part. And sometimes being an MC is a thankless task. But I loved it. I love being on stage. I love holding the crowd and being the front man on things.
Yeah.
But there always felt like there was always a ceiling with MCing that, you know, could only take you so far. And it would always be the DJ or the artist or the producer that will be the guy earning the most money, or the guy or girl earning the most money, being the person who's on the flyers.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I need like to do my thing.
Yeah.
And then I was working with Mr. Jam when I signed to Speakerbox. He was like, Magic, just do everything.
Yeah.
He's like, do everything. I was like, do you think? He's like, mate, he goes, like, because he saw me DJing when I was sound checking once in BCM on 4 decks. He's like, bro, why are you not DJing? It's like, well, DJ since I was 12. I was a DJ. I DJ for fun, DJed on the radio. And he's like, yeah. And I think being seen as a producer and a DJ definitely feels more like an artist than if you're a club MC. Do you know what I mean? To be an MC, like, and become, say, a Skepta, like an artist level rapper MC, that's difficult.
It's very difficult.
Very difficult.
So what do you think, where do you think that, because even then you feeling it from then, like what do you think that is, the culture that permeates that you could be seen even briefly less than, like even doing that gig together, like you and Wide Boys?
It's just their brand was bigger than mine. Yeah. You know, like I'm coming in as their MC, you know, and Ed and Jim, bless them, always put me on things. So it was always with Majestic. They always supported me. Like, you know, if it wasn't for them guys bringing me through, I wouldn't necessarily be here today. And like, that's why me and Ed are obviously still as close. Ed was staying around my house the other day, like with his son who's now 18. I remember when he was like 1. So it's like, you know, that was all part of the journey. And the thing is with people like Ed, you know, who are real guys, they helped me grow. And like when it was time for me to expand and fly, they were there to support it. That's why we're still like best mates. Yeah. So I think it's like being in that right environment and stuff, and people that genuinely want you to do well will encourage it and see the growth. Yeah, and respect you and respect each other. So when did Majestic happen then? So I've been Majestic since I was 12 and got those decks. That was the first time. But then when you were doing those MC shows with Wide Boys, was it Wide Boys with Majestic? With Majestic MC. Okay, a Majestic MC. So that's as an MC. So but I'd always done pirate radio. I got on pirate radio from when I was 15, MCing. But then when I was about 17, I started to sort of DJ and do my own show on pirate radio. Yeah. And, you know, that's where I really honed in sort of my broadcasting skills and whatever else. I was on there for years. And it's just, again, it's just a love. Everything I do, I love. Yeah. And this is one thing I say to people, is like, if you see me do something, it means I enjoy it. Yes. It's not, I'm not doing it for the sake of it. Yeah. You know, and that's why I've been so blessed to be involved in so many different underground music genres, and, you know, whether it's been in dubstep or drum and bass or garage or house, I've been around it and done it. I've MC'd for the biggest names. I've MC'd for Andy C. I was EZ's Choice MC. Like, as an MC, I did everything I felt I could do. Yeah, but then you felt like there was nowhere else for you to grow. Yeah. And I had so much more to do and give because, you know, I do write music, I do play instruments, I have, you know, songwriting capabilities, and it's just, I think when you get pigeonholed is one thing. Yeah. Because even when I was a very established garage MC, I was making house music under another name, because the idea of a garage MC being a house producer, especially going back 15 years, no way would people take to it. Yeah. So I kind of made a bit of a Trojan horse and called myself another name and just laughed at the fact that people played my records, even though they would be snobs. Well, can you say the name? Yeah, Isaac Christopher was my name. I pretended I was Dutch. And my bio said I was a Dutch table tennis player. Then no one picked up on that. I know I did. The best thing ever, I've still got the clip, and big up Marianne Hobbs, because she's the G of electronic music. And she read out my bio and she played my mix on XFM. It's like, Dutch-born, North London raised, Isaac Christopher was dedicating his career to table tennis but had an injury before the Beijing Olympics. So I just wrote some stupid bio that I wanted someone to read out. And and her amazing voice, because Mary's the best at talking up electronic music.
Wow.
And like, you know, and I was being played by a lot of sort of big DJs at the time, so it was cool. And listen, to get co-signed by Kerry Chandler when you're 22,
wow,
ain't a
that's
bad
pretty
thing.
sick.
Yeah.
Did you then, when you started doing Majestic then in the house space, finally, in the dance space, did you say, hey guys, this is me?
No, I just cracked on.
Yeah, okay.
It's just another thing.
Yeah.
There's so many things, again, that we might unravel on this podcast that I've done, and I just do because I enjoy it. Like, and things happen. And I just think, as I said, I think things happen at the right time for the right reason sometimes. And we've got to go through all of the stuff to learn, to then get to the point where you're able to then pick and choose what you do. Yeah.
Let's sidestep to your vocal on that KSI record. He was Droidica.
So it's Droidica.
Droidica, that's it.
So what that was before KSI even did music.
Yeah.
So when KSI, his first inception of this huge YouTuber that, you know, there's a generation of kids I grew up with. That record there by Droidica, who was just a kid from a university, KSI used it as his like theme tune on all of his videos.
Yeah.
And that's why it's on KSI's channel and he's in the video, etc. And it was just a thing that they go crazy to. So the two young lads that you know that I managed beyond Chicago, Louis and Will, when Will found out that I was the voice of that, he lost his mind. He's like, oh, I grew up listening to that. I'm like, yeah, that's me as well. Even when I met KSI, I went, me and you've got history. And he was, what do you mean? I went, no, bad boy, ready for the bass. My DJ better get on the case. Get hyper. And he was like, what? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, the funny thing with that is, at the time, it went into the top 40 because KSI was so big.
Yeah.
But the drum and bass scene despised it.
Right.
Because it's not the best produced drum and bass record in the world.
Right.
At all.
Yeah.
Even my vocals at the time. Yeah. Which is really funny. But big up Droidica, he's a good lad. I remember he was in a crowd when I was emceeing something. He goes, I'm Droidica. I was like, yes, bruv. Aww. He goes, I go to this uni. So I was emceeing at a uni regularly.
Wow.
And he went to that uni. But again, the drum and bass scene weren't really feeding it. So if my name was attached to that tune...
So that felt like that could have hindered you.
Exactly.
Right.
And this is what I'm saying about those situations with like sample packs and whatever else. And, you know, obviously watching the podcast in the last series, it's like, we all talk about the successful ones that blew up and our names aren't attached. But we're not chasing after the ones that kids made in their bedroom that sounds absolutely awful. Yeah. And if our name was attached, we're like, bro, take that off.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, we can't pick and choose. That's why the overriding feeling for me has to be one of, like, that was that. It is what it is.
It is what it is. It happened.
Like, you know, and that's why, you know, as we go through the podcast, we'll talk more on that and talk about the situations because, you know, every situation is unique and different. Yeah.
That's true. I think also for you though, with it, you felt at peace with it. You did it, and mentally you're like, that's really cool. That's happening, but that doesn't define me. Yeah. And I think that's some of the issue is that some people that end up doing those kind of things, it is part of them and defines them. They don't know how to move forwards.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's a different.
But is that an insecurity in the person feeling that it won't come again? Because what I find in our industry is it's designed this way. Yes. That we think we've got one shot. Yeah. We think everything's 8 Mile and it's the battle at the end. And it's like, it's never going to come again. Yeah. So we get so precious. Yeah. That's why people argue over points, publishing, distribute. Oh, this is my one time. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Me and my manager, big up Mickey, we have a thing, you know, DJ Khaled, and he says another one. Yes, yeah? That's our quote. Because when we go to do business and someone starts getting really stupid with it, and it's like over a point, we're like, another one. Yeah. Because I know I'm going to make another one.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and I'm confident in myself that I'll go again. Yeah. Because I've done it for that long, you know. My first ever gig in this industry where I got paid was 2005.
Wow.
Just 20 years ago this year.
And for the years that you were doing that MCing on pirate radios and stuff like that, that's a long time.
Exactly. So it's like, I've been working professionally in our industry for 20 years. I'm still here. Yeah. And I've still got loads more to do. And it's like, you know, when people obsess over the one moment, I just feel that's when you become caught up on all these things. They think it won't happen again.
How long have you been with Mickey then?
Well, I started working with Mick in 2012. Right. From a DJ and producer element because I MC'd for him again. Yeah. Being an MC, I met loads of people, MC'd for different people. And I met him in Kavos, we was working together. And he was like, let's do a tune together. Yeah. And again, like everyone says that and you never get in the studio. And then It was months after, and I put a Facebook post up going, when people say they want to make a tune with you, either do it or don't. And it weren't about Mickey, it was about someone else. And Ricky's like, oh, Chief, man, he's calling me out. So he sent me a beat. And so he sent me this beat, which was sick. It was a garage beat. And I ended up writing a tune called Let's Go Back that me and Mickey made together. That became like a cult anthem. EZ hammered it. He still hammers it to this day. And we was working together. And then he was bringing me on shows. I'd done Global Gathering with him, main stage. I'd done like around Europe with him. It was sick. And we just became really good friends from then. And I just knew then when he was still an artist, I'm like, mate, you'll be a sick manager.
Right.
Because he was so good at putting things together, calling people. I think one thing that Mickey does so well is he will call out other people's talents. He'll be like, this guy's sick.
Yeah.
He's afraid of no one.
Yeah.
You know, even you think of people like Chris Lorenzo and stuff like that. Mickey's known them since they were doing nothing.
Yeah.
Mickey was the guy that put Chris Lorenzo and Chris Lake together.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Like, because him and Lakey go way back, and like, when Lorenzo was coming up, he'd always telling Lakey, this guy's sick, this guy's sick.
Yeah.
And like almost convinced them to get together. So yeah, like working with Mick's always been great. And then I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago now, that not even that long, a few years, that became manager-client relationship, because he was managing my Plain Old Kev thing. Yes,
which is your band.
Which is, it's another project I do, which is more like guitar-based, song-based. I've been on tour with Example twice. Yeah. Performing live, which is another thing that I love. Yeah. Again, I spin so many different plates. It's hard to tell the story sometimes. But
if you could have, just to quickly interject, it's Majestic or Plain Old Kev that blew up in the whole world and was it, which one would you choose?
It's so difficult to choose. But I think the whole thing with Plain Old Kev is, and that's why I called it that, is because there's no mask to it. It's unfiltered. So it's, when I'm talking and I'm songwriting, it's very, very honest. Yeah. Whereas sometimes Majestic is, we're working in a like commerce almost, and we're producing records that are gonna do numbers and stuff, because that's what it does. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a machine now. Yes. So whereas Plain Old Kev is definitely something where I can be more expressive and test things and go left or right here with just a lot of freedom. But I think having Majestic allows me to do that with Plain Old Kev. Yeah. You know? So, yeah, he was managing that and then like co-managing that. And then I just said to him, like, mate, we need to just do this, because his energy matches mine. Yeah. I need someone who's got my energy, because I am 24/7. Yes. And he wants to take over the world, and so do I. Yeah. So, like, we're doing that together with lots of different projects. But, yeah, it's... Again, and that rounded it back to what I'm saying of having that confidence within myself. Yeah. To let go of those things is very important. But as you said, everyone's different. Well, that's why I kind of asked how long you two have been together, because I think some of the issues as well, you're right, that some people do see it as like their one and only chance, but it's the security that they have around them. Who do they have? Because I know when I started and my situation, when I've always blown up, I had no one. I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have anything. I was just me, myself and I. Yeah. So you really have to go, what does this mean? What is the focus for myself? What do I need to do here? Whereas, so if some people luckily have someone to talk to or bounce it off, that can give them the security and confidence to step forwards. And, 100%. You know. Well, because that's the thing, like you said, with your situation and coming in, like not having people to advise you is why you get into situations like... Of course, we was talking over, I think, just before Christmas when you was having a discussion online with Duke Dumont. Yes. And you were, it's like we were talking back and forth. But that's what I wanted to speak to you about and see your situation, unravel that, because with the Duke stuff, like, how did that come about? Like, how did you end up doing stuff for him? Was that through like a replay service? Because this is the thing I want to contextualize as well. Oh, yeah, please. Is about... Because, you know, the customer doesn't understand this. Yes. They don't know what this is. So if I go out today, I've got an example of it, because I did a record called I Want to Be Down, right, which is a Brandy vocal. I just made it at my house once as a bootleg, just for fun. Yeah. Ended up getting signed to Freebeat, Universal. It's gone on to be a silver record. Wow, yeah. That's Vula on that record. Okay, amazing. Right? But I didn't know it was Vula. Was that through Replay Heaven? Because so the label said to me, don't worry about the re-sing. Yeah, we'll take care of that. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Bang, they do it. Yeah. Only later here, I'm like, when I'm listening to it, when I got the take back, I was like, they ain't done anything. That's Brandy. Yeah. It's so good. I was like, that's Brandy. And then I heard one little nuance. I was like, that's Vula. Yeah. Because I know Vula from working with the Wide Boys, and she did some stuff back in the day with MJ Cole. Yeah, and obviously the Basement Jack stuff, but, you know, like, Vula's the home girl. Yeah. Like, you know, I love Vula. She's got amazing vocals. If I knew it was Vula, I would have said to Vula, yo, let's do it together. Yeah, and feature her. Yeah. But Vula's not, and the second time around she did another one for me, she's not interested in being the feature. So
Right.
she's got the option to or not.
Yeah.
So that's why, but again, people don't realise that there is that thing where people go almost like a gun for hire, get the replay and it's done. What did you know about that when you went into that situation?
I didn't. That's the thing. Like,
Okay.
and I've talked about that really openly. It's fun that you're going to interview me on my podcast.
I know.
But yeah, I've spoken about that quite a lot on podcasts that I've been interviewed on. I didn't. I literally worked with Hal Ritson for years, Replay Heaven, Richard Adlam as well, who's a lovely guy. I used to work with Richard first. I basically how I met them. I got hit up on MySpace by a songwriter who asked me to demo something for him.
Yeah.
And he had written a song with Richard Adlam, I think. And then Richard, after he heard my vocals, was like, I think I could do loads of work with you, Replay Heaven, blah, blah, blah. And then Richard moved out of London and Hal was still in London. In fact, he was under Ministry of Sound in the same building as Wes Clark.
Okay, yeah.
Love Wes, big up Wes.
Yeah, Wes has
such an
smashed it.
incredible mix engineer. And Wes mixed I Got You, Second City's I Want to Feel. I think he mixed More Than Friends as well. Oh, I don't want to
He's done a lot.
But yeah, he's a G. He mixed Underneath the Tree, my Christmas song.
Nice.
That will be huge one day. But yeah, so I ended up working with Hal, and I actually loved working with Hal because Hal is a quirky guy and
a genius.
And a genius, and his ears are incredible. So working in the studio with him, I mean, I'd already been doing stuff in the studio. Like I had some stuff I was recording with my ex and blah, blah, blah. So I was used to being in the studio. But getting in with Hal, I basically wouldn't leave the studio until I nailed it.
Yeah.
So I just got very good at being fast because I was like, I
You're
don't want to be in
on
here
the
for
clock.
3 hours. Yeah, I want to get my
Absolutely.
vocal done and leave. And so, yeah, I did loads and loads and loads of Stephen records that I don't mention today because they were small or did small things or whatever. But like Bingo Players Cry Just a Little, that was the first one that I did that went like massive in its own way. And I didn't really know what it meant, but that was 2012.
But what was like the premise of when Hal's working with you? Did he telling you what you're doing?
He literally just said, I've got a session vocal for you. It's for a release. This is your fee. Off you go.
Yeah.
And I was doing BVs at the time. I was doing backing vocals for Adele, and I was a BV. I was all over the place.
And again, for context, like session singers is a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing, and it's a job. It's a viable job. There are a lot of people out there who are session singers.
Exactly. There are a lot of people who are session singers because especially, and I like to talk about this a lot and stuff what you've talked about as well, growing up in North London and working your paper round to buy those vinyls. When you come from a working class background, you're working, paying your bills and like growing forwards. You don't have maybe something to fall back on from Bank of Mum and Dad potentially like some people do that you're like, I got to keep moving, but I want to be in music, but I got to pay my bills. So yeah.
That's like me in adverts. I used to make Pirate Radio adverts.
Right, okay,
like,
yes.
All the time. My week was full of doing rave adverts.
Yeah, so let's just get paid and keep it moving forward and maybe not even ask business questions. Because also, no one really spoke to me about the business or contract and things. So it wasn't even something I was even thinking about. I was just like, oh, I get to go to him. He's called me up, said, I've got a couple of things I need you to vocal. And here's your invoice, like invoice me, this is your fee. And I was like, cool. So yeah, Bingo Players kind of blew up, but it was a big club record. And then the thing that really was really interesting was Flow Rider released it, but he got someone to copy our version of the sample replay. And they were a bit pissed off by that because that was their business model and income.
Yeah,
and obviously I didn't know about the fact that there was points being had on stuff or blah, blah, blah. I just was like, oh, that's a shame. I thought that was my vocal, but okay, all good. And it was when I Got You blew up and all that stuff started happening that suddenly these grey areas started to come into play. And I was like, no, hold on a minute. What does this mean? Because I'd had a car accident in 2013. I had a very bad car accident. I had a severely prolapsed L5S1 disc. I had a fractured pelvis. I was in a wheelchair and I couldn't do my BV work anymore. I was on tour with Jessie J at the time. I couldn't finish the last 2 shows of her arena tour. And I very quickly noticed who kind of gave a F about me for me and who gave a F about me because I was quite high up in the BV scene. So I would pass on work to other people when I couldn't do things. And suddenly I was like, what does this mean? Because my voice was kind of everywhere. And I got brought into the Duke camp to do the live lounge and that went amazingly. And then I got put on tour with Duke because the live lounge went so amazing. They ended up doing a live tour. And then I got told I should do records for him. I was going to do another couple of records. I would feature on one of those, which should have been Be Here. And then I was going to sign to Blase Boys Club, his label. So I got brought in onto the management team. So I got told all this stuff. So when it came to Be Here, because I did Give Her a Prize, Give Her a Prize, I've only got ad-libs on that. And I've got a small 5% on that because I did ad-libs and inflections and a bit of me. Then we got asked to go back in the studio, myself and Hal Ritson, to do Melt, which was the big set-off argument over December. Again, he had a very, very small sample, which was like, ooh, ooh, and he linked to that, which anybody wanted to grab the link, they could have downloaded it for themselves. I did. And I went in and Hal was like, just do your thing. So I just sang. And that is, I can feel your fingers touching me. Like all that stuff is me just creating. So I got my publishing on it. And then
which is great. To get published on it is great. Like,
well, you wrote. Because I wrote on it.
Exactly.
Yes. So I got my publishing. And then again, I was pitched down, so it's like, it won't be a feature. So when it came to Be Here, he wasn't sure what key he wanted it in. He kept changing the key, but it's like, this one has to have my name on it now because I've done all these records for you. I need to have my name on this moving forward.
Just to get context as well, so he's specifically asking for you then?
Yeah, going back in the studio, but with Hal. So he wasn't even in the studio. I did everything with Hal.
Was Duke aware of it was like you, or is he just using replay and then...
Oh no, he's aware of me because after I got you, I'm now in the camp.
You're on the tour.
I'm actually in the management team of Hard Livings.
Yeah.
So I'm managed by the same team now. So he knows full well who I am. I just toured with the guy.
Yeah.
I sang all the shows live each night. I sang Give Her a Prize. I sang I Got You. So it was just like I got told by management and him I was going to sign to Blase Boys Club. I was going to feature on Be Here and we'd be going to my next single after that, to like my single that he would possibly produce. But then because he left the management company...
so was this all promised by the management company or him?
Both.
Okay.
Yes, both. And then after I did Be Here, I got called from Dan Stacey, who basically said, he doesn't want to put your name on Be Here. And I was like, why? Like, I just did the 4 records for him. I just toured with the guy. Like, why doesn't he want to credit me for what I've done, you know? And obviously I Want a Field blown up. I was on the Second City thing, Love Too Deep, Ferric Dawn and Redondo. And also in the meantime, other people started mentioning me. People were wanting me because they realised who I was. And like Ferric Dawn and Redondo, they'd put online, didn't realise Kelli-Leigh sung this record. She's amazing. Like me and Ferric are just like from day one tight. You know, I did So Real for Low Stepper. Low Stepper loved my vocals. They asked me to do another one, wrote Run In, that I featured on. Still me and Low Stepper to this day. He's a G.
But again,
like there was this kind of respect.
The running theme is that people that, as I said myself, being the producer, going to the service and not knowing who it is, we just get given back a vocal.
Totally. But in this situation was my time to be featured.
Yeah.
And Duke phoned me up and he told me I was just a session singer and he didn't need to put my name on Be Here. And I said, but I've written on Be Here. Like, he was like, you're just a session singer. Don't make me replace you. I've got another singer lined up. I will just replace you. And at that point in time, I was so scared. I didn't know that. Now I know because it's got my publishing now. I could have said, F you, try and find another vocal, but you're not having the song.
Yes. And that comes from that guidance.
Comes from knowledge. But I didn't know that. And then I got advised by management that it's just good for me to be singing on another Duke Dumont record.
Which there is that side to things.
There is that. But what I learned from that situation, actually, in terms of career growth, like I got my advance off of for that EP and whatnot. I still haven't paid back that advance based on the books, but like based on the streaming count. But you know how it works with labels and points and my tiny point on that record or whatever it is. But then they went so out of their way, him and his new team or just him on the press release, because Annie Mac made every record I sang for him her hottest record, every single one I did. I Got You, Give Her a Prize, Melt and Be Here. And on Be Here, the press release said it was a seamlessly worked vocal loop. He went so far out of his way to erase my contribution, erase my writing. It was frankly disgusting. And years later, people still go to me, I didn't even know you sang Be Here. Even like the situation on Instagram over Christmas with him, again, not wanting to credit me on being one of his fan favourite records that he has to play. And the only reason why I saw it, because I don't bother following the guy, was because a fan tagged me.
Yeah.
And the way he spoke to me in the comments, again, it's like, why are there people that want to go out of their way to really diminish and erase people's contributions? And it does happen with vocals so much. It happens obviously to ghost producers as well. I know a lot of producers are now messaging me as well saying they get erased and ignored, but I don't understand that mentality. So that was for me when it opened my eyes and went,
that's why I really wanted to understand that situation there with Duke, because I think it's like, I think there is something to be said in, you know, and as harsh as the words were, you're just a session singer.
Yes.
If someone has gone to someone for a gun for hire and you accept the job, that's on you.
Totally.
In my opinion, right?
Totally. But again, that would be for I Got You, right?
Yes.
Because I was just a session singer gun for hire. But that was also me suddenly learning, no one's approached me. I still haven't signed a label copy for that record. So in terms of just a session singer, there's also some kind of grey area here. And this is why I say I trusted Hal Ritson. I wasn't told anymore. And a lot of singers that have worked in some of these situations are going in and they're being exploited because there are people that know in this business that certain people just need to pay their bills. And if they're not going to ask business questions, you know, and that does come to also people need to know their business. This is why I've put free advice documents online. I talk about this a lot.
That's really powerful.
It's because you need to know the business, because if people know that they can make more money out of you, not everybody in this game is good.
No.
Like, and you're resting on other people being morally correct. Like when I do my work and I run my label and I do my business, I do it in a morally correct way.
Let's have it right. It's not morally correct from the top.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? At the highest levels.
Yes.
The whole major label deal, 80-20, recoupable from your 20, is a joke.
Yes.
That's the fact. So it's like...
Totally.
You are going into shark-infested waters.
Yes.
Right? So it's very difficult. That's why I think out of everything, wherever me and you agree or disagree on, we agree on that. Being around people that know the industry, that you can trust and have advice from is so important. And
when everything was blowing up with the records I sang, he knew I was working on my artist project and I wanted to be an artist. And I remember the day he said to me, he's like, you've got loads of things. I was like, I don't actually know if I want to do session vocals anymore. I'm realizing that I'm singing something for a small nominal fee and people are making a lot of money off my voice. And actually, I also want to be an artist myself and I want to be credited and I want to be respected.
That's growth. That's just personal growth.
But he said to me, well, why do you need to be an artist? Just get paid to do these sessions. You'll make loads of money. And he actually got pissed off with me stepping forward and going, actually, no, something here is not right. I think personally, and I have the same as well, I'm very black and white with certain stuff because it's just like, the excellence that he works at to get it like that, there's something special about you. Do you know what I'm saying? And for him, and I know this because, for example, if you work in making music for sync, you can clean up. Yes.
Like, I know friends who have been amazing producers and have left.
Yeah.
And when I got involved in doing some bits and pieces for TV, it's called the producer's graveyard.
Right.
Because when you get paid over there for sync for TV, whatever, you're not coming back for these dibby wages.
Yeah.
So when he's saying, just get paid, man, come on. Some people see music as a job and paying those bills. People like yourself and me, we're trying to make a legacy, create a name and do what else. So it's all different. And that's why I think perhaps he had that sort of nonchalant feeling of like, what's wrong with you? Get paid. Like, you don't need to be an artist because they don't want to do it themselves. Like, there are some producers that are happy. Like, for example, someone we work with, Lee Tyler.
Yes, right? Lovely.
Lee's my bro. Yeah. And we've worked together since 2006. When he was in Control S and I was MCing. Control S, Majestic, Scott Morris, Never Leave Me Alone. From pure garage. Like, that's how far we go back. Still work together to this day. Did Rasputin together. Went half, the 2 points I got, I gave him one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We do stuff like, almost like partners. I call him out, big him up. Yeah. My music would not be the same without him. Yeah. But he's happy to be the guy in the studio. He doesn't want to do what I do. Yeah. Has no interest in it. And that's great. And it's making that decision and then you're communicating and doing business correctly. This is the business facts from my point of view. And I also want to say, as talking about someone in this way, this is just talking about the business side of things, because if Hal wanted to come on and defend himself and talk about it in that way, fair enough. In retrospect, hindsight, again, I found out things about records that I've sung that there were producer points involved for him and, extra points and that kind of thing. But again, to make devil's advocate, he's like, you're a singer, I'll go get another one of you. Yeah. That's the problem. But that's totally fine. Again, it's like the same, you could find another producer, but this is why I'm saying this is people using exploitation. As soon as someone starts going, hold on a minute, should I not be being paid more? Hold on a minute, should I be signing a contract here? Hold on a minute, could I be asking for a feature? Because I loved working with him. Yeah. I loved the vocals I did. I loved the strength I got in the studio, like the way we recorded those songs. But what I did not like is suddenly when I was going against the grain, I wasn't just going in there and getting paid my 200 quid and then effing off, And but
then,
do you know what I like in that too? Yeah. Working in Tesco's or somewhere, and you're going, well, I want to be the manager now, I've had enough. And then them going, no, you work in the tills. So it's very, because it's so personal to us, because it's creative. Yeah. And when you're creative, it comes from your soul. Yeah. So there's so much more feeling attached to it than someone just conveying it as a business. Yeah. That's why perhaps it's just so well, go then.
Yeah, but it's not even a manager thing. I mean, I could get the analogy there, but it's not, because we now know that having a name on a record or having points on a record and making sure that things are credited correctly is another way we pay our bills.
Absolutely.
And the royalties.
To come back to what I'm saying is, so he's like, that's my business. Yeah. They're coming to my brand because they trust in me.
But then he should then make sure that business is clear to the people that he's working with.
Won't say this is what I get for it.
This is what I'm employing you for. This is what this situation means, etc., etc. Because a lot of the singers that have done some of these situations do not know what that means.
But then again, it's like being in a job, and like knowing your CEO's salary and what they get. It's nothing to do with us.
But I'm not saying necessarily he has to tell the singer how much they're being paid. But it should be like the point situation, or it should also be like, this will be your fee. It's not going to be royalty driven. Yeah. Your name's not going to be on the record.
There's no points for you.
Blah, blah,
there's
blah.
nothing.
Yeah, okay, so that there's some clarity to it.
That
because
makes a lot of
again,
sense.
I had no idea what any of this means. I didn't know about points. I didn't know that I could ask for my name on the record.
There's probably a lot of people watching now that still don't know about points.
That still don't know about any of this.
It's basically percentage.
It's about having a percentage on the record. And also like now I've learned about being listed as a lead featured vocal on PPL. So PPL is split into two halves, 60% for the named artist, 40% for the musicians. So when I got you, I was in the 40% bracket. So Duke Dumont and Jax Jones, they got the 60% of that. And then the 40% would be split equally amongst all of the musicians and contributors on it. So I'm on there as a vocal. Hal would obviously be on there for keys or whatever he's done. I think he's got a BV credit on there as well. There's, Dan Pearce's vocal on the clap your hands, y'all. So, all right. So he's got a point on it. So
Dan, another legend.
Then we split that together, that 40% together. Whereas a lead featured vocal on PPL for like your MC and things, if you were listed on that for all those songs that have like been on radio and done the charts, you'd be having a higher royalty stake. And you don't realise that because no one tells you. No. And I learned about that from my lawyer, Judge Jules. Big up Jules.
Big up Jules every time. He's my lawyer as well.
Yeah, I love him. He's just amazing, and he's taught me so much about business and the industry.
But that's why those people in the industry and the people like Mickey that I'm talking about, they're the heroes.
Yes, they're the heroes. Yes.
Again, that's why I want to be on here. Like, I don't want to villainize like people like Hal or even Duke, because I just think that's your personal experience with them, and that's absolutely fine, and we're allowed to do that. And I just think that trying to find this happy medium, this is what I've always tried to pride myself on, is, as you said, is clarity.
Yes.
Is honesty and clarity, and going, this is the situation. This is what's happening. Yeah. I've got this opportunity for you. Yeah. If you'd love to take it, this is what I can offer you.
Yes.
That's what should
be clarity. But then, and in the Duke thing, and this is not villainization, but I thoroughly, that back and forth we had in December for me was highly cathartic, because I said the way he's spoken to me and how I just feel it's disgusting to try and treat anyone that you're involved with a record like that. Could you imagine talking to Lee after you've done your record?
Oh no, but that's again, that's just different people.
It's different people, but I'm exactly saying that. It's what he did online is he showed exactly how he deemed me as a vocalist and writer and creative on records and those records. And that's the thing that I don't agree with.
Again, for the black and white situation, in his mind, I've credited you because you are on the credits. And you got publishing.
No. The credits, that bit is just the publishing as a songwriter.
Yeah, but it's still credited.
It's still credited in a way of the publishing, but still that's a different thing, because being credited on a record, again, affects your royalties. If your name is not on a record, you will receive less money. And then on that one in particular, obviously it's just publishing. So I'm receiving on the publishing side, and then I've got a point on the master. So I'll receive what dribs and drabs I get from that. And then on the PPL side, listed somewhere in the 40%. So it's just like, and also having the name there, like if I'd done those 4 records for Duke at the time and he'd put my name on Be Here and Annie Mac said, this is Kelli-Leigh, she'd done those 4 records. It's like this kind of respect thing, and actually it goes a long way, and you're not going, oh, I did this, blah, 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 blah. It's actually very simple, and it doesn't take away from him.
I completely agree with you on that part of it. Doesn't take anything away, right? Now, in this day and age with a Spotify, when we're all listed and you can go to and click each name, that's why everything I do, I go to them, do you want to be featured? Yeah. So when I Closed My Eyes and Vula done a re-sing, I'm like, oh, it's you again, Vula. Do you want to be a feature? She's like, nah, it's not, I'm all right. Yeah. So as long as everyone has their saying it, I completely agree with that. I kind of, again, from the production standpoint, it's like there is something to be said on, let's take Michael Jackson, for example, Thriller. Yes. Yeah. How many people was involved in writing that and contributing to it? Guitarists, horn players, whatever else. It's like, you know, when you build a house, it's like not everyone's going to be given the credit for the house. It's going to be the construction company, not Dave who did brickwork, Steve that did electrics. Do you know? That's what I'm saying. So there is that to be said. I don't personally understand the feeling of not giving someone credit for something.
Yeah, totally.
Because I'm cool in my space.
Yeah.
But again, I think it comes driven from the fact that there feels like there is a little opportunities for everyone. So when everyone has their moment, they're like, no, you can't be involved.
Yes.
You're going to take it away from me.
Yeah.
You're going to take the shine away from me.
Yeah.
That's what I have a problem with.
Yes, and that's what I have a problem with as well. And I think it's funny that you mentioned like MJ and Thriller, and you know the famous thing about Careless Whisper with the saxophonist who played that whole solo, which is
of course.
and then got a session job and never got any writing on that thing. Like, you know, there's situations like this over history because people aren't aware of the business side of things. Well,
that's interesting as well, because I actually had this conversation with Mickey the other night, because publishing is such a vague area. Because I said to him, right, if I was, who did the guitar part from MJ for Thriller? Was it Van Halen or someone like that? It was a big, it was someone big.
Yeah.
And like, it's not featuring them, but that guitar lick is huge. But what Mickey said to me, he goes, if you don't change the chord progression, that's not considered writing.
It's not considered
writing. So if you write that saxophone part over Careless Whispers, you've done a solo over it, but as a musician, thank you very much, no writing for you.
Yeah, but it's a featured solo that became a themic part of the record.
That's what I'm saying. It's so, the nuances in this is
it's very complicated. It's very complicated. So again, that's why I like Forgive a Reprise. I've got some publishing on that because I did a creative element on that record. I added ad-libs. I took some things somewhere and it was agreed, yes, there should be some publishing there because I've written something. Like I Got You, I didn't write anything. That is a straight Whitney sample. That was written by Wyclef Jean. So, you know, and then there's a negotiation, as we know, when you do a sample replay, if you're going to receive publishing as the producer that sampled that record. So again, it just comes down to clarity again, but I just don't like this just disrespect of ignoring and trying to diminish the parts. Like you said, you're very good at saying, like you said to Vula, would you like to feature on it? She's like, no, I'm actually right. Brilliant. Everything's done. It's great. She's happy. She's happy with what she's received. You're happy with what you received. You did a great thing and said, look, do you want to put your name on this record? She said, it doesn't work for me right now, but thank you very much. Done and dusted. Do you know what I'm saying? Because
there are opportunities as well, again, to get more context, is there'll be times you'll do songs with singers or vocalists that go, I don't want to be a featured artist.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've done the same. And for me, what I've said, again, it's always about clarity, conversation and consent. That's what it's about. It's when people try and exploit someone. You know, I've done records which are like, it's not for me. So like Wavy, Vato Gonzalez, I wrote that. I love Vato and I've done a couple of things for him. And that's not a me thing. The sound is not me or anything. And, you know, I was happy to write that and not put my name on it. But I've got my publishing, I've got my fee, I've got my points to record, all good. And I have a lovely relationship with him. And it's just, that was great. That's business. And it's like, this sonically isn't my world, so I don't need to have my name on it. It's when people just try and release stuff. I've had people release stuff, have it coming out on a Friday and message me going, basically we just want to release this record. Okay, I'm not sure about that, or we don't have a budget for you. Okay, well then probably find a different singer. Oh, we can't do that because it's coming out Friday. What are you talking about? You've just signed the record to a label. That's happened to me so many times, and it's again, it's like,
so I think the real recurring theme is really bad business.
It's bad business.
So and again, to loop everything back round to us being naive when you come into an industry you know nothing about. That's where it all comes down to. And again, thinking that people aren't going to exploit people in any industry is naive, because they will.
Totally.
Sports, you know, agents ripping off football players left, right and centre. So it happens everywhere. You know, our trust is very important in people, and that's why there are so many people that are burnt by situations. But like, as I say, I always feel like I've learned so much doing it that I can get into a position now where I can take a leap. Well, I'm not doing it like that. This is how we do things. And I think that's where the power comes in, trying to find that. You know, and like, you know, watching your previous series with some of the other guests, you know, as we both sit here today, a lot of the amazing things that have happened for us have come from those opportunities. So it has universally and karmically balanced itself out, because now we know people got to hear us, and if it wasn't for those platforms, they might not have heard us. Now, for example, as Abby Flynn was on before, her voice has been everywhere for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So every producer wants to work with her.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know her situation and how she got into doing a splice thing.
From the podcast, she got diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
And
which is terrible.
And she got invited to do this splice pack. She'd not heard of splice before. I think splice was still up and coming. And she got told she'd receive a fee, and she personally, as she's told me, didn't feel that she would be around anymore. And singing is her life. And she needed to pay some bills. So that's what she did. And then 4 years later, big song.
Yeah. But I just, as soon as you do that, like, even when I did my stuff, everything I did on that was throwaway.
Yeah.
If it meant something to me, I would have kept it.
Yeah, but that's...
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's different. That's you. That's the way you think about it. And you were in a space at the time and you were doing the MC thing. You're just writing vocals like, yeah, this is great. I mean, singers do things differently. We're all creatives. We're creating from a place.
Absolutely. But I just think, like, when you say, right, I'm doing this for this over there.
Yeah.
If nothing comes of it, you're cool with it.
Yeah.
So if something comes of it, you can't then be going, this is unfair.
Yeah.
Because it could have gone the other way.
Yeah.
It's gambling.
It is gambling, totally. And I think, well, how would you say she should play that?
Use all the opportunities you get now, because the licks that she does and the voice is sick. Yeah. She's sick.
It's
now
amazing.
We know how wicked you are.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what is given to us.
Yeah.
It's like, you did that? Oh, wicked. Let's come over here.
Yeah.
And use it. Like that's what I say to people now. And anyone else who's been in that situation, that's what I recommend. Don't get caught up and get upset about it. Use it.
I think this is where me and you disagree, because I feel like sometimes it's not as simple as when you feel that you're being disrespected or erased. There's an element of you're like, why are you deeming me so irrelevant when you're profiting off of my contribution?
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree with the splice thing. I would not do a splice vocal pack at all.
Because you know now.
Because I know. I wouldn't give my voice away for that. But like, other people don't know, and there's situations. I mean, there's examples there of what's just happened. It's kind of like, you kind of hope, I suppose, and it's hope. There's no DOD in particular with the Abbas Flim thing. He doesn't have to do anything. He got the splice vocal, the thingy blew up. But it would be lovely, for example, if he went, here's 1% publishing. Doesn't take anything away. And it would just be like you talk about universal karmic energies as well. And in the business, you've made me a massive hit. Do you know what? Splice vocal, whatnot. Here's a % or something, or move her to lead featured vocal on PPL. No one has to do these things, but it's just when you say, like, sometimes it feels like there might not be another opportunity. For some people, there isn't. And when you're struggling, and if you're especially coming from a financial background where you don't have the opportunity to rest on somebody else, you are looking at, this could help pay my bills.
Yeah, that's why I did mine. I got paid money.
Exactly.
To me, £1,000 plus then.
So when something's blowing up and you do feel lost and you do feel like no one's listening to me, like I'm seeing these people excel here, like in terms of like the vocals I've done for records, and like you talking about DJs and producers being respected more than vocals in your experience with MCs. That's the way it's been in the vocal world a lot. And I've seen all the guys that I've done vocals for have their faces on billboards, and I was still pushing through trying to get a record signed, but yet I'm respected, and as you know what I'm talking about.
It's a very weird culture, that, because like, why is it? And you know personally, because I had International Women's Day and I had you up there with Karen and Hayley.
I love that, yeah.
And I've always been a huge advocate of that. And even when we did Coco, and you come and did Coco for me, I had Carla Monroe there, I had you there, Kelsey that sings on Raising the 90s for me. I love putting the singer on the stage. I love it. And I think it's great. I think it's a great part of the show.
Yeah.
I just don't know why we all buy into, like you said, the DJ more than an artist or a singer. Perhaps it's because the DJ's output's more regular and they've got lots of songs all the time. I don't know. It's a really strange thing. And also, I do feel from, again, someone that's put on parties and raves and whatever else, I feel PAs slow down nights. I really do feel sometimes. I'm like, and without being bad, like if I'm programming something, come on and do your hit and get off.
Right.
That's how, that's me from a promoter.
Right.
I don't want to hear your 2 songs you've done earlier today. I just want to hit, because my night's flowing.
Yeah.
That's how I'm saying. That's why it's so ruthless, I think, you know?
Maybe. I mean, there's an element of me that disagrees with that, because obviously I've got my live show and I see how the crowd reacts, and it has been amazing to do shows like,
of course,
me and Carla, for example, we both did a show together in Wales over Halloween, and she went on and then I went on, and the crowd loved it. We had such an amazing night of like performing the tracks and doing it, like we obviously both had a mix. And then the energy was just electric. So again, I think that can come down to who the performer is,
absolutely,
what the song is, because
absolutely.
I've seen lineups with the DJs just playing and it's boring as AF in my opinion.
Yeah.
And actually, I want a bit of light and shade, and I want some soul, and I want someone to come on and smash a live vocal, or do PA. Like loving the experience I've been in the drum and bass scene that I've been getting into, and like doing Shogun Audio's 20th anniversary with Polar Bryson, and seeing the amazing MCs that are on stage and the way the crowd reacts to a live vocal on stage, as well as obviously the DJs. But there's an atmosphere, it's electrified.
But then again, there is a certain sort of responsibility on promoters to then be pushing that.
Yeah.
Like we did try a couple of years ago in Ibiza with the Ibiza Anthems, Ibiza Rocks, and try and do that as a thing where we have the singers come and perform those records. You know, we had Dwayne Harding, we had Julie McKnight, people like that, you know, and that is important, and it shouldn't just be a sprinkle, it should be a mainstay.
Yeah.
You know, but again, perhaps the people would know the singers even better if they were credited in the first place.
Exactly.
And then they became someone that people could get into.
Exactly.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
So that's why the importance of what you're saying of those credits are, because it's not just Majestic's record, it's Majestic featuring Vula.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So when Vula comes to perform, it makes a lot of sense.
It makes sense, yeah.
So that's why, you know, that's why I've always done it and said, like, do you want to be a part of it? You know, even, but again, then there'll be other things where the label go, no, we don't want that person.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me before. And I've had to go back and go to them, no, they don't want to put you as a feature.
Yeah.
And that's horrible and awkward, but it's happened to me. I've had it. I've been taken off my own record for someone else. Do you know what I mean? But at the time, we did it for the good of the record. Right. You know, because I'm like,
in hindsight, do you stand by that decision?
I stand by it, and it hurt at the time.
Yeah.
It felt rejected. But again, I'm just of that strength of like, I'll go again. It doesn't like you. That is what we need. And that's my one point on here is that thick skin of, I'll go again.
Yes.
Because you have to have that in this, because there will be things that will happen that feel like you've been absolutely... Listen, I had a platinum record around the world in Rasputin.
Yes.
All right? It's Boney M's biggest streaming record ever. I got 2 points on it and no publishing.
Wow, yeah.
And about $3,000 for a remix fee. That's not my remix fee.
Yeah.
It's a lot less.
Yeah.
And I halved that with Lee as well.
Yeah.
Even though he just mixed and mastered it in post. I made Rasputin. I'll get up the Ableton file and show you.
Yeah.
Right? And Lee will tell you. And they are now trying to recoup off my royalties from that for other situations, even though it was a side deal. This is what major labels are doing to people.
Wow. How does that work if the contract's already done?
Because if you revert back to like the main contract of what I was in, it's like, because I'm a named artist on it, it's not considered a remix, which they don't touch them stuff on. Yes. I'm considered a featured artist.
Yeah, right.
So they're then entitled to take that. And this is something we're trying to fight at the moment, because like, to do a record that's almost done 1 billion streams, it's done 992 million streams. Yeah. And to receive nothing for it.
Yeah. Something
is a joke.
Yeah.
And that is why I said, like, it all starts at the top.
Yes.
If there is more on the table for all of us lot, I don't think the energy would be what you've experienced and some other people. Yeah. Because there'll be enough for everyone.
Because the infighting. And so you rest that on the feet of the labels.
100%.
And I agree with you. I think there's a lot of this issues with labels, and I know of other singers that, one who had a massive record in the most recent year, and they had to fight to put her name on it. And the only reason why they got her name on it was because it was International Women's Day and the A&R was a woman. And they said, why are you trying to erase me from this record then, because I wrote it? And then they went, okay, and now it's one of her biggest records as a vocalist. So it does come from the labels, but it does also then come down to, as we go down the rung, the people in the position 100%, of power of making those choices.
I think, for example, like when you're dealing with, say, that situation with Hatter, he might have got 2 points. If he had 10 points, he might go, here's your 2.
Yeah.
Because there's enough.
Yeah.
As you said, everyone's trying to pay bills.
Everyone's trying to pay bills.
And it ain't easy in the music industry to keep paying those bills year after year.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and I think that's what it comes down to. When I explained to a friend of mine who's a very successful businessman, the major label model, he said that is incredible for them. He goes, it is the worst bank loan I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
He goes, who starts a business like that?
Yeah.
Imagine going on Dragon's Den.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'll take 80% of your business.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a couple of grand up front.
Yeah.
And then all the costs will come out of your 20%, and we'll pay you once we get paid.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That is why you've seen like Ray in recent years.
Yes.
The way that she kicked off and got out of her deal.
Yeah.
And then went to a distributor, even though it's still within the major label system.
Yeah.
It is a lot fairer.
Yes.
And she has creative control.
Yes.
To have no creative control over what we do and to be pied like that.
Yeah.
This is why, again, I always explain it. I feel like I'm on TikTok every day doing it and breaking it down when I'm live about how it works, and just do it on £100.
Yes.
And I'll do it here.
Yeah.
You have £100. And the label says to you, we like you, here's £100 up front. You're like, wow, £100, wicked, that's amazing. First record comes out, and you're like, yes, it's made £100. And they go, yeah, wicked, here's £100. So we're going to take 80 of your £100. Here's your 20. And you're like, yeah, £20. No. So you're now minus 80 because we gave you the 100.
Yeah.
We made a music video, it cost £10. You're minus 90. Here's the PR's another £10. You're minus 100. And then you had some clothes for the day, minus 10. You know what I mean? It's just, and you're like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Exactly.
It's insane.
Exactly.
And I think that's where all of the things that we've talked about makes the problems, because there's not enough on the plate for everyone.
There is not, yeah.
And then you go to Spotify now, and the whole thing with songwriters and whatever else.
Yeah.
That, with the vocalist situation's bad enough, but from a songwriting perspective, raising their contributions, no wonder we're in a place where we are now.
Well, I didn't even know that PPL didn't collect for Spotify.
No.
Which blew my mind when I found that out.
When Spotify is probably bigger than radio now.
Exactly. And actually a lot of establishments are playing Spotify through their systems, which they're actually not supposed to be doing.
Oh, really?
But then because it's not catered into the PPL system.
I didn't know that.
So, and a lot of venues don't know that, but actually Spotify is not supposed to be played in a commercial setting. It's supposed to be purely private.
Turn your Spotify's off, put the radio on.
Put Kiss on now. Put Kiss on now. We should start to wrap up because I've had you here for a while, but...
It's all good. You know us, we could do a 5-hour special.
I know. What is, from you listening, and how do you think the culture could be moving forwards?
I think, everyone has to understand that we're all human beings first and foremost.
Yes.
From an empathic point of view. You're dealing with feelings.
Yeah.
And I think that word that you said, consent, is very important in any situation in life.
Yeah.
And I've learned that in life. Like I've made mistakes where I've hurt other people along the way without having a conversation with them to say, how's this going to affect you, and are you okay with it?
Yes.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
And that would change so much.
Yes.
I think that from the business side of things, I think, we have that beautiful thing where we can have these discussions and agree to disagree and stuff. I think from a business point of view, clarity when you go into any situation.
Yes.
The only grey area that is sometimes we'll go into a session and we're just vibes in.
Yeah.
And it's the vibe, and you come out of it and you go, oh, what's happened? We've just made a great song. Who did what? That can be problematic. But especially if we get into those situations as a session artist, a session singer, or whatever else.
Yeah.
I think the person saying, this is exactly what I'm going to give you, this is how much it is, and this is what it is worth, needs to be clear.
Yes.
But I just think anybody that gets involved in the music industry, having someone looking after your business is important.
Yes.
Now, I signed my publishing away 18 for £500.
Wow.
For about 5 years.
Wow.
Because I didn't know I was doing.
Didn't know, yeah.
So when someone says, get legal advice, do it.
Yes.
I know it seems like it's a lot of money.
Or sign up to the MU because you can get free legal advice.
I didn't know that. Yeah. So do that as well.
In your MU membership.
And, if you do find yourself in the music industry, start doing the research like we've done into PRS, MCPS, PPL, even to the point of put your gigs in and go to PRS and submit your playlist.
Yeah.
Because we're not getting paid. Yeah. And there's a big pot of money that someone else is getting.
Yeah.
But I just do think my big thing to everyone is that don't think of an opportunity as a singular event. Think of it as a broader picture that, and everything you do is a stamp of moving on further.
Yes.
That's why I can hold my head up high and sit here today and talk about the business I do with people, because it's fair.
Yeah, agreed.
And I'd rather be fair.
Yes.
And take a little less and still be here and not have someone on a podcast feeling a way about a situation.
Yes.
And if I was that, I'd come and talk about it, because I do believe conversation can heal everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I like, especially where I'm in life. I think talking and healing is so important.
Yeah.
And I think that's what can be done. And fair play to you for this platform, for people to come and do that, because it's a good thing to do.
Thank you so much.
No, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for coming on. And I love our debates and our back and forth over the years. And also thank you for being a champion for vocals as well, and vocal artists, and like also stuff that you've done recently on Barbara Tucker as well.
Yes,
an absolute
BT.
queen. I loved the performance I did for you at Kiss with Andy and Karen and Hayley May. And I just think things like this, again, is what makes the industry move. And if you're in a position of power or opportunity, and
100%.
you can open those doors for other people coming through, that's true power, and that's amazing.
Absolutely. And as I say as well, for me, like, the context thing is everything as well, and having two sides to a story. And that's what I think in this day and age we don't do enough.
Yeah.
Is have those discussions. There's one discussion there, one there, nothing in the middle. And just to go completely like off piste, like, I do a lot of stuff in boxing.
Yes.
Like, I do all the Tyson Fury ring walks and all that. So Saudi are now involved big time. His Excellency Turki El Sheikh has put a lot of money into it. And he was criticised recently by Carl Froch, ex-boxer. He went onto the podcast and he discussed with him, and he said, what don't you like? And they discussed.
Yes.
And they got to a really good point. And I think that's what we need to do. And I think, I want to see a podcast with you and Duke Dumont at some point discussing.
If someone said that to me, if he wants to come on, but I
think you could do it. I think you both could.
I mean, I'm not sure there's much he can discuss in terms of vocals, but we totally can. But my thing is to just not be erasure and like go out of your way to erase people and be disrespectful to the people that you work with. And
that's the key. Especially people you work with, man.
Exactly.
You should hold them dear, like I do Lee.
Exactly. Absolutely. Lovely. Love the people that you're involved in, from the songwriters all the way down to the mix and masters. Like, it's a whole unit that puts a song out, and everybody plays their part. So unless you're writing a theme tune, singing the theme tune, mixing and mastering a theme tune, you best keep your mouth shut, in my opinion.
Wow.
No, I'm joking. But just, that's all it is for me. It's just, and some people feel like they've got nothing but to be able to suddenly speak up, and say, hold on a minute, I have to say something. And I think that's the only way also that we change the game, is actually 100%. By being brave enough to go calling it out and going, no, this isn't right, and this is how we move forwards.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Thank you, Majestic.
Thank you
for being on.